Hello friends, welcome to episode 108 of the Shauna Stitches Podcast. I am Shauna and this is my crafty channel where I talk about all the things that I've been working on lately. Today is, what day is it? It is April the 6th, I almost said March, but it is definitely April the 6th, 2025, and it is currently 10:42 a.m. So yeah, I am filming this in my craft room here on the Oregon coast. It is a rainy, gloomy day, which that's kind of typical for the Oregon coast. So everything is normal here, except did you notice I got all my hair cut off? Well, not all of it, but probably at least a foot. My hair had been down to here, if you don't recall, and actually longer than that in the back, but anyway. We'll talk about that later. Thank you for joining me. Today I have all of the show notes down below and for everywhere you can find me. So that includes Instagram and Ravelry. Those are where I'm most active. It also has a link to my Goodreads. It has a link for an Ask Me Anything, which no one has asked me anything yet. So, or I set it up wrong and they're not coming to me. So I guess if you have anything to ask me, you can put that right down below. There are also links to all the projects I'll be talking about where I offer up more information and notes in my project pages. So again, if what you find there does not answer your question, just ask me. I'm more than happy to help. Let's get into some finished objects. I actually have a couple to show you. The first one is a big one. My Do You Yoke 2 by Zanete Knits is completely finished. This has been blocking for about the last week. Obviously it's been dry. I just haven't bothered to pick it up. So I haven't tried it on yet since it's been blocked, but I don't think it grew anything crazy. What should have happened is that the color work should have evened out a bit, and I think it did. It doesn't look puckered up. I know one of the sleeves, yeah, maybe this one, there's a slight hump there where it goes from the color work to the main color, but I think it'll be a lot less noticeable when it's on, and if I wouldn't have pointed it out, you might not have even noticed. So I think this is just a stunning, stunning design. This was a mystery knit along in Zanete's, I don't know. I think it's supposed to be said Jeanette, but anyway, in Jeanette or Zanete's school group, which is SKOOL, she has a page over there where it's an app or a website, and you can join others and talk about your project. She's got all kinds of tutorial videos, and in there we discussed our weekly clues, we watched videos, and it was just really useful. So this was my very first mystery sweater by Jeanette, and it will not be my last. I am definitely going to knit this again next year. Hopefully she does it next year. Let's see, April 9th, so Wednesday, she's doing a Zoom call with everyone who participated. Unfortunately, it's at 9 a.m. or is it 8 a.m.? It's either 8 or 9 my time, Pacific time. It's 9 because it's noon New York time. It'll be live. Everyone who participated who can make it can be on the Zoom and show their sweaters. So since I can't be there, this is mine. I used an undyed fingering weight yarn for my main color. That is by Knomad. I can't remember the base name. I want to say it was like Marshmallow, but I might be making that up. It's in my project page if you are curious. The sort of self-patterning or self-striping gradient color that you see in the background, which is my contrast color, that is a discontinued yarn from Knit Picks. It was Knit Picks Chroma Twist Fingering. So the keyword there is the twist because they still make a Knit Picks Chroma Fingering, but it is unplied. So this is a plied version. And you can just see it goes from gray to a pink, gray, and then just through grays and pinks essentially. I think this turned out so fantastic. I really can't believe I knit it. I think this is the most impressive looking thing I've ever knit. It wasn't hard, but it is very impressive. So let's see, show you the back here. There are short rows for the neck, and we used a technique that I don't believe I had ever done called Japanese short rows. And those were quite easy with her tutorial. My very first time ever using a bobby pin to make short rows, and it worked fantastic. Luckily, I had some of those available. The other techniques that were used in this were mosaic knitting. So that's where you slip stitches to do color work. Then we had stranded knitting. More mosaic here, which it has a completely different texture because the mosaic is in garter, and then the regular color work is in stockinette. So there is not just visual difference, but a textural difference. And then down here at the bottom, we actually used ladder back jacquard. Let me turn this inside out so I can show you my floats. All right, I'm not going to bother about the sleeves, but you'll get the idea. So there's what the mosaic looks like on the inside, the stranded, which I just have to toot my own horn a little bit because I think those floats look pretty good. And then obviously more mosaic. And then down here we get to the ladder back jacquard, which if you watched my previous episode where I talked about the cat butt hat, whatever you want to call it, that's the first time I ever had done ladder back jacquard. And I'm trying to remember, she actually recommended a different way of starting the stitches, which I use the way that I prefer, which is a backwards loop cast on. But she had a genius way of finishing off the ladder back jacquard, because especially since there's such a stark difference between my contrast and my main color, she actually had you do one extra round in the main color and then bind off those stitches. So you see none of that from the front. And yes, genius tip. I will definitely do that again if I have a drastic difference. I didn't notice anything bad on my cat hat where I just bound off the stitches, but you can see there, you know, yes, there's a little bit of tension difference, not a lot, but you don't see any of the gray blips of color coming through. Of course, you can just see some of the color because it's quite dark behind there, but I think it looks pretty good. The only thing that I did differently, off of memory, is that I did tubular bind-offs for everything. And that's what that looks like. It's hard to show. There's what a tubular bind-off on a cuff looks like. You just have that nice, neat edge that rolls over. So it just looks seamless. I never really was a firm believer in the tubular bind-off until, I can't remember what project I was working on, and I think it was recommended. And so I gave it a go, and I think I did it too tight that time, but I've done it several more times since, and I've really gotten it to where it is super stretchy. It does take a little bit more time and effort, but I really like it. And what I really like is that it is stretchy without being flared. I know the cuff looks a little bit flared, but nothing like is it Judy's? No, it's Judy's Magic Cast On, Jenny's Surprisingly Stretchy, I think. The other one that I used to use all the time was by Very Pink Knits, and that one was also kind of flared. Less for me than the Jenny's Surprisingly Stretchy, but anyway, I just really like the look of it. Even the bottom, it's hard to show, even the bottom hem, it's just super, super stretchy. Not pulled in at all, and it looks really nice. I found a tutorial on YouTube from Andrea Mowry where, and it looks a little funny, but from a distance you can't even see that. So you modify, I guess is the right word, the 2x2 to a 1x1 in order to do that tubular cast off. So you cannot do it that I know of on a straight 2x2. You have to modify. The other thing that I really like to do on my sweaters is I tie a piece of my scrap tail yarn onto the back so that it is easy to figure out which side is the back and which side is the front. So since I have showed you this off the needles and blocked today, I will make it a point to wear it in the next episode so that you can see what it looks like on. And I hope to get some finished objects pictures. I've just been so bad about it lately. Socks are easy, but when I have to go outdoors and have my husband take a photo, it's either been raining or, you know, unfortunately my husband and I have completely opposite schedules. He works nights and is up at night on his days off, and I work days and I'm up during the day. So we have just a very short amount of time together when one of us isn't rushing off or back from work. So I will get caught up on those, but I think I'm like 3 or 4 sweaters behind, which if you know me, I don't knit a lot of sweaters. So it's quite a bunch that I'm behind. Okay, let's see. The next finished object I have to show you are my Desert Vista Dyeworks socks for March. These are the Comfort Core socks by Summer Lee, and they're in the Desert Vista Dyeworks color Zombody Green Decomp. So they are done. I did a 2x2 cuff and leg ribbing. The, what do you call this? Seed stitch pattern on the front, or on the top of the foot, and then a slip stitch arch, followed by more of the seed stitch and a slip stitch heel flap and gusset. I knit these on my normal needle size, which I wasn't too sure about because of that slip stitch on the arch, but a 2.25 millimeter 64 stitches worked just perfect, and I'm quite happy with these. I haven't worn them yet, so I don't know how they're gonna wear, but I'm quite happy with them. You know what? I just realized I showed you these last time. Anyway, I'm sorry for covering that twice, but I'm not cutting it out, so it was quick. All right, let's talk about works in progress. I have several to show you. Did I forget one? Oh, no, it's right here. My first work in progress is my April Desert Vista Dyeworks sock. And oh, I have so much to say about this one. It's not showing up the best right now because I don't have it on a blocker, but it's on my 9-knit circular, so that won't work well. This is the Speckled Space Socks, which I think ever since I've been on Ravelry, or at least a sock knitter, this pattern has been out and I have wanted to knit it. It's a pattern that's free on Ravelry by Amanda Stevens. And what always prohibited me from casting this on is that it's toe up. And I have definitely knit some toe up socks, but if you were to take the percentage between cuff down and toe up, I bet my toe ups are maybe 5% of the socks that I have knit ever. And I've knit a lot of socks. So it just makes me very apprehensive about, when do I start the gusset increases? Will the foot be long enough? Will it be too long? Yeah, that's why I have a hard time. Plus, I do like a longer heel flap than normal. So cuff down is very easy because I just keep knitting till I'm done and then I do the heel turn. But when you are working backwards, you have to add more gusset increases, therefore start sooner. It's a whole ripple effect, if you will. So I started knitting this as the pattern states, and I was going to do the slip stitch heel flap from the pattern. I'd seen some comments about it being a particularly long heel flap, at least for some people, and so I made it all the way through the heel turn, had just started the first or second row of the slip stitch heel, and I realized that it was not going to be as tall as I like. From my memory, the pattern for my size, which is 64 stitches, had 19 repeats, I guess. So that would be 38 rows of the heel flap. I like a 42 or 21 repeat heel flap. So it was just a bit short. Then I even thought, should I just keep going with a little bit shorter? Because it's not that much. But then I realized I should knit it how I like it, because I know I'm going to like it. And I did not want it to be too tight across the instep. I also considered going up to a 2.5 millimeter for the leg, because I am doing that pattern all the way around. But I think it's going to be stretchy enough. I tried it on after I finished the first repeat on the leg, and it was okay. This is such a cool pattern because you have one design from the front, which it's like a chevron, but it continues where it's like the reverse side of the chevron, even on the side of the leg, and it's just perfect. I am in love with this sock. I'm also really in love with this color. This is the 2023 Holiday Cups color by Desert Vista Dyeworks. And to me, I don't know if there is a more perfect color on the planet. I love this color. And if I would have known how much I was going to love it, I would have ordered two, because I could see knitting a Musselboro hat in this. If I'm being honest, I would knit a sweater in this, because even though it is a Christmas colorway, I don't think it screams Christmas. It can be Christmas, but it could just as easily be spring flowers, or I don't know. I just love it. And if Susan should ever start dyeing again and offer this colorway, I'll be getting at least one more. I just love every single stitch. This pattern is really fun because not only does it have these short little 1x1 cables, which I'm doing the method where you cable while it's on the needle, as in I'm not reversing stitches, I'm not using a cable needle. It's super easy. There are tutorials on YouTube, and in fact, I have linked a tutorial in my Ravelry page for this project. So if you would like to look that up and you can't find it yourself, there is one there. And then it has these, it's not a slip stitch, it's a pass a stitch over. So it creates kind of a bar, and it's just different colors, and I just really love it. Clearly the name of the sock is Speckled Space Sock, so it's for a speckled yarn, and I just think it's perfect. I've started the second leg repeat, and I'm thinking I will have to do a third, or at least part of a third. So I'm getting close to done with the first sock. I think that's all I have to say about that one. Other than I just cannot get over the color. I love that color. The next project I have to show you is my Cozy Memories blanket. This one has gotten a lot of love lately. Let's see here. The last time I showed you this blanket, I was right there at the puppy paw marker, that kind of purpley brown color. And let's see, I always have to figure out which way, because when I knit on it, it's this way. Okay, so these are the squares across the top that I've done since you saw last. And I did make it to 18 by 18 on this, so 324 squares. I took a picture of it on my king size bed. It is really growing. Not there yet, not even close. I can't even find the side I need. I can't even imagine or guess how many squares I'm going to need in the end to make this fit my king size bed. Because of course I don't want it to just cover the top of the bed. I need it to hang over a little bit. So yeah, I have a ways to go. These are the other 4 that I've done since you last saw. And this was today's square. It's number 328. So I have finished 103 squares since Christmas. Let's see, and I'm gonna move my puppy paw marker. There's what it looks like if you didn't get a good look. This was from my Twice Sheared Sheep Advent for 2024. I've lost my side again already. This thing is just getting so big. I just took that marker off. Now can I figure out where it goes? Yes, I found it. Oh, geez. It's so much harder to look at too, to show you, because it gets turned around from how I would look at it if I'm knitting it. All right, so today's square has been marked, and the next time I show you will be much further along, I hope. I say that because yesterday I kind of make it a habit on Saturdays. I weave in the ends that I can on that blanket, and I wind up any new minis for the following week. So I went to go wind up minis and realized normally I'll just wind up 7. I wound up 8 because 8 were all the 5-gram minis that I have left in my stash, which sounds surprising. I definitely thought I had more because I have these 2 kind of plastic bins. One's actually 4 yarn. The other one was an old, I think, peanut butter pretzel, like peanut butter filled pretzels from Costco. I think it's one of those old containers, but it's a good size. So I have minis in there, and I just had assumed that some of those were 5 grams. But when I got to looking at it yesterday, they're actually all 10-gram minis from row 1. I counted them up. I have 52 10-gram minis from row 1, which would be another 52 squares in my blanket. However, I don't know if you guys watch Kayla of the Crazy Sock Lady, but she is knitting this reading shawl, which is by Kay Jones of the Bakery Bears, although she's knitting it a bit different than the pattern. But I am definitely wanting to knit one of those. The problem is I can't cast it on right away, so I need to save those 52. I actually sent a message to her to ask her how many 10-gram minis she thinks hers is going to use, because that's what she's using on hers. So hopefully 52 will do it. If not, I'm not going to lie, I have considered resubscribing to row 1 because I do enjoy those, and now I'm actually using them. The reason I paused them was because they were just collecting, but I am actually making my way through. I would have plenty of 5-gram minis if my Cuddle Bums order would have arrived in March, but it never did. Jody of Cuddle Bums has sent me a replacement package. For some reason it got lost in the mail, which is a first for me. I have never had that happen. And for how much online ordering I do, I guess I would say my track record's pretty good. One's bound to go missing at some point. So eventually I'm going to get both my March and my April box, which will mean I have, 61, I think, minis to put in my blanket. So I should be good once those come in. It's just, I don't want to lose momentum on that, because I feel like if I put that blanket away, I might not pick it back up, and that would be bad. I really, my goal, I would like to get that finished in 2026. I just don't know if that's going to happen because I'm not sure it's going to be big enough. But as long as I keep making progress, that's what matters. All right, the other WIP that I have to show you in this bag that is so true. So much yarn, so little time. This is my resurrected WIP that I have showed you before. It is the Simple Skip socks. And these I started in 2018, so they need to be done. Last time I showed you, I'm trying to remember where I was. I think I was just partway down the leg. So I've done a good bit. I was really hoping to finish not just the Do You Yoke sweater in March, but also these, because that would have been great to just have 2 things done. They just didn't make it. And then I finished the Do You Yoke on, I want to say like March 29th or so. And so of course, April 1st, I started my new Desert Vista Dyeworks socks, and those became the priority. I did knit on these a little bit last night though, because we sat and watched TV, and the Speckled space socks, although they're very easy, and I probably could even figure out the 32 row repeat off the top of my head, it would just be a little too much work, too involved for TV knitting. So I did work on these. I am just about halfway, maybe a little over halfway through the foot. I am slightly nervous though, because this is all the yarn that I have left. I measured it, it was 17-ish grams. And I think that's going to be more than enough to knit half the foot. But I would still like to have at least 3 or just a little more than 3 grams left for a square of my blanket. And I don't know why I am running so low on this. I'm jogging my memory, and 7 years is a long time to think back. And I'm wondering if I didn't take a bit of this yarn for a swap or something, because I have done that. I've done a couple swaps where we had to have hand-dyed yarn, and a lot of the stuff that I knit is commercial. So depending on the swap, you can't send commercial yarn. And so I think I had dug into a couple of these and sent probably 10 or 20 grams. It's a really good thing when I rip back the first sock. I ripped back a short row heel. I took 10 rounds off the leg. So it's an 80 round leg instead of it was 90. And then I'd be playing even more yarn chicken. So anyway, let me show you a close up of the simple skip pattern. I just love how this pattern looks. It looks really great on a speckled yarn. And did I tell you what it's called? Yeah, simple skip. Of course I did. Oh, it's a day. Anyway, yes, I will definitely knit these again. I've knit several pairs of these and I'm really enjoying it. The yarn is discontinued. It is a color called Sprinkled Donut by Candy Skein, who no longer dyes. And I love this color. It's very interesting. If you can see, my yarn is looking a bit ramen-y. Kind of like I frogged it out of a project. And apparently that's what happens when you leave yarn caked up for 7 years. It just gets that crimp of being compressed together. It doesn't bother me. It's much less crimpy than if I had frogged a yarn and was re-knitting. But any little bit of that that's left will come out when I wash it, I'm sure. So that's what I have to say about that. Okay, so since those are almost done, I am fairly confident those are going to be done before the next time I record. So I went ahead and did my spin the wheel, which I will insert here. And spin the wheel picked my next old WIP to work on. This one isn't near as old. This one I started in December of 2022, and it is the Painting Bricks Mitt by Stephen West, and these are for my husband. My husband loves to wear fingerless mitts in the winter. He likes to have his fingers available to do whatever he needs to do. And I had started these with the best of intentions and then obviously set them aside for some reason. It looks like, of course, this is the fun part, is when you get to figure out, where did I leave off? I think that's the thumb gusset right there. So it looks like I have the thumb gusset started, ends everywhere. And yeah. So he'll love these. They are just very scrappy. I have an entire Candy Skein bag full of my leftover bits and bobs of worsted weight yarn. That's what this is, worsted weight. So little hats, like I know this blue is from a hat I made my sister-in-law. That's a weird stitch. I wonder if it's supposed to be like that. Oh yeah. Oh no. No. What's going on? I feel like, I don't know, maybe it's supposed to look like that. I feel like I dropped a stitch there. I don't know. This is why once I get caught up, I say never. I can't say never, but I'm really going to be inclined not to set things down for a long period of time because just trying to figure out where I'm at is going to be a chore. Luckily, I do keep good notes on Ravelry. That helps. I do use Knit Companion sometimes, so that can help, but it's still more difficult and it takes time to figure it out. So it just really isn't the best method for sure. But I hope to pick those up soon. It'd be really great if those are done by the next time I see you, but let's just settle for, let's hope there's some progress. I do have a upcoming project to show you, and it's really nothing. I'll start by showing you a swatch, and I might have shown this to you already before. This is worsted weight wool of the Andes swatch. I was trying to remember if it's 2 different needle sizes here, but I think it's just one. Normally I will put a garter ridge between if I did 2 different sizes. And I did do the kind of swatch where you get to the end of the row. Let's see, I'm trying to remember. Yes, you get to the end of the row, you pull out a long piece of yarn, and then you slide to the knitting end, and you use that long piece, and anyway, you just pull up enough that you have these little tails. It is so much better than knitting those mock in the round swatches where you've got the threads over the back. I greatly prefer this. I still have the end where this side's all wonky, but, and actually this side is too tight. So definitely want to take gauge from the middle section, but it works pretty well. So that being said, this is my project. I might actually cast this on today, I hope. I won't make a lot of progress. I would like to get this done before June. And if I'm being evasive with what it is, that's for a reason. It's a secret knit. I cannot tell you what it's going to be, but I can tell you the way I'm going to show my progress on this is to show you how much yarn I've used on the project. So I did take a photo starting out. The partial ball that you see was just used to knit this swatch. So that's where we're starting. Hopefully next week. That'd be great if I had, or next week, next time I record, probably 2 weeks. Hopefully I will have at least one of those gray skeins gone. And eventually I will be able to show you and tell you all about this project. But for now, that's it. Just know that I'm going to be starting that soon. If you watched my January State of the Stash, I showed those yarns ordered from Knit Picks, and I was really hoping they had come in December so that I wouldn't have to count them for this year. But it will be very nice to get these used up and off of my yarn in spreadsheet. So that is that, and I do have something else to show you. I have been spinning on my drop spindle. This is 100% Polworth by Greenwood Fiber, and it's in the color Arcade. It's such a fun, bright, happy color. And I started spinning this because, I don't know, somehow I'm late to the party. I saw somebody on Instagram post that Andrea Mowry was doing a spin to knit along from March through May, I believe. And it is for spinning a 3-ply 2 ways. So this here is the first single for a chain ply, which is where you turn one single into a 3-ply, very similar to a crochet chain that you then add twists to. If you're not a spinner, I will leave it at that. If you are a spinner, you probably know what I'm talking about. This is the most fun for me. I love this spindle, how you can see the color progression. And it's kind of hard, I know, because it's dark back there in the corner. But so far, this has gone from pink, that's what it started with, pink to purple, back to pink, to yellow, and the pink and the yellow made such a fun orange mix. Then it went to green, and now it's at this turquoise. You can see some of the green behind there. So this first ply will be a chain ply, which is just spinning half the fiber directly down. The second version of the 3-ply, I'm going to do similar or exactly how Andrew Mowry did hers. So I will take the second half of the fiber, I will strip it into 3, because it's 3 plies. And then that first third, I will then strip that again. So it's 2 equal halves. And then I will flip one of the strands so that I'm essentially applying or drafting off the beginning and the end at the same time. So what that's going to do is it's going to create a lot of those blended colors. Like I was talking about the yellow and the pink making the orange. You're going to see that, or you should see that all throughout. I'm a little worried because it seems like the way, and this is going to be very hard to show because my fiber is falling apart. But I told you what was before this was green, goes into turquoise. Well, then it goes back to green, back to the yellow. So now it's going backwards. So I'm a little worried that in doing it the way that I mentioned, those colors might actually line up. That would be okay if they did. Either way, what's going to end up happening is that half of the fiber will be a traditional 3-ply. So instead of taking 1 ply and turning it into 3, it's going to be 3 separate, and those will get plied together. And no matter how accurate I think my spinning is, the colors will not line up, even if that drafting method ends up lining up, if that makes any sense. So I'm spinning on that very, very slowly. My goal is 15 minutes a day. There's no way I'm going to be done spinning this by the end of May. And especially because it's to knit a pair of either the DRK Everyday Socks, which is a fingering weight ribbed sock, or the Bear Paw socks, which are DK weight. And I'm definitely aiming for a fingering on those. However, I'm aware that Polworth is supposed to plump a lot when you wash it. So I'm not sure what that will come out, but I'm hoping for fingering weight or maybe a sport. That is all the crafting that I've been up to in the last 2 weeks. If you can't tell, my voice is sounding so much better. I still have a cough every now and then, but I'm feeling much better. And thank you so much to everyone for the well wishes. I'm definitely on the mend. My energy levels are starting to come back. It was a doozy though, and I've heard from a lot of people, this, whatever it is, just lasts for several weeks. So happy to be on the mend. I have done some reading. Let's see, I finished Her Deadly End by Tikiri Herath, and that was a Kindle first book, so I was able to pick that for free because I'm a Amazon Prime member. And I gave it 3 stars. I honestly did not love this book. It was the one I mentioned I was just going to get started on the last time I recorded, and I had said it was a detective kind of murder mystery. Oh, let me tell you, I really don't care for books that are just completely unrealistic. That being said, if they're sci-fi based or something like that, obviously it can't be super realistic, but I think it can still make sense. This was not sci-fi. It was, like I said, a detective kind of mystery. It was about this slightly older female, and I'm not saying old, but just she's not your normal age for a FBI recruit, because that's what she is. I think she had been prior military, if I remember right. So anyway, she joins the FBI, but she's on vacation with 2 of her good friends who happen to be private investigators. And she has her canine dog who just got spayed and is recovering from the vet. And of course, they're in this sleepy little town that never has any crime, but they uncover the biggest crime of the century. And it's just like, come on now. And of course, they solve it because no one else could see anything going on. It's just unrealistic and it's annoying. I don't like it. 3 stars. It wasn't the worst read. I didn't pay for it. I made it to the end, but there's a sequel and I definitely will not be reading it. The next book that I just finished yesterday is called Murder on the Hill by Kennedy Chase. And this was a book that I got for free, although I don't think it's normally free, so you would have to check and see if it still is. But it was, I subscribe to many different book sale kind of sites. I know one's called BookBub. There's something like ebook something. I don't recall all of them. If you want to know, ask me and I can look it up on my phone, which I'm recording on, and let you know that later. But it's just different ones that send you different sales. Sometimes they're free, sometimes they're just reduced price. And this one was free. And normally I don't just download those, but I guess I was in a mood that day. So I started reading this one and I gave it 4 stars. I actually really liked it. It was cute. It was I will say a light-hearted murder mystery. How is that even possible? I don't know, but I actually really liked it. So that one was worth the read and I gave it 4 stars. I just started this morning a book called Booked for Murder by C.C. James, and I don't tend to read the synopsis before I get started. So when I read Booked for Murder, I kind of thought it was like library kind of books, but it actually turns out that it's about a hotel. So, you know, booking a room at a hotel. I believe that this one is also going to be a lighthearted murder mystery, and I'm not mad about it. I actually really like that because, you know, sometimes it's nice to have the serious, really tense ones, but sometimes you just want to read for enjoyment and relax and not have to think about too hard about all the specific details and like trying to solve it in your head. That being said, The Murder on the Hill, I did not see the killer. I did not know who it was going to be, and I was very surprised. That is all I have for reading and my crafting, but yeah, a little bit of life stuff. Obviously, I mentioned at the beginning, I got my hair cut. I just did that yesterday, and I do like how it looks, but I'm going to be very honest, this is not what I asked for. I rarely go into the beauty salon with pictures and being very prepared for what I want. This time I was. I had Pinterest pins, I had photos of myself from years ago when I had a little bit shorter hair. And I showed her all these and kind of mentioned what I was looking for. I had mentioned that I wanted, obviously, much shorter, somewhere between my shoulders and my chin, and that I wanted layers. So I really don't have any layers. I mean, it's not quite all the same length, but it's definitely not like anything real short. And always when I've gone to a salon in the past, they have to use the thinning shears on me because even though my hair is very fine, I just have a lot of hair. She didn't use any thinning shears. And I also mentioned to her, or asked a question about my hair being frizzy because it didn't used to be that way. And I had mentioned a Brazilian blowout, which is something I have done maybe 15 years ago. It's a chemical treatment that coats the hair so it looks smoother. Basically, you don't have to do the, what do you call it? The hair straightener, flat iron. You don't have to flat iron it. It just looks flat ironed and it lasts 2 to 3 months. So I can't remember off the top of my head how much I used to pay for that. Probably around $100. And so when I say this, she just kind of ignores me and doesn't, because I said, oh, how much does that run these days? Because I'll be honest, I was contemplating it because my hair is driving me crazy. I had hoped that getting a bunch cut off was going to make me feel like the texture was better. And I don't feel that way. My hair is coarser, it's frizzy, it feels dry, and, you know, getting all that length cut off, this is like the healthiest hair I have. It should feel better, and it doesn't feel terrible, but it's not the hair I used to have. I have done some internet research and realized that apparently your hair changes quite a lot as your body changes with age, and so I guess this is the hair I have now. Anyway, back to the Brazilian blowout. I asked her and she just completely, I don't know, maybe she didn't hear me, but she didn't answer the question. So I got home and I looked it up and it was $175. And I thought, absolutely not. But then I started to wonder, maybe it costs less at another salon. No. The other salon I looked up in my area cost $225 to $250, and I think that depended on the length of your hair. And that doesn't include a haircut. That is literally just the treatment. So that's out. But I have gone down sort of a hair care rabbit hole. There's this product called K18, which I don't remember who that's by, but from my understanding, it's some kind of bonding treatment. It improves the health of your hair. That being said, if your hair is just changed due to age, not chemicals, not heat styling, because, well, until now, I never blow dry my hair. I don't heat style it. I don't do any of that stuff, and I don't color it. So it's as healthy as it could possibly be, I think. I'm not sure that the K18 will do anything. And it's very expensive. Less than a Brazilian blowout, but still very expensive. So I don't know. So her answer to my frizz question was flat iron it or curl it. That's it. So I did flat iron it this morning. I had hoped that sleeping in a bonnet, which is something I've done over the years, off and on because I'm not great about it. I put the bonnet on, and because it's so short, I woke up and it was like this. So that wasn't a good solution. So I did have to flat iron it again. But I guess that's just what I'm going to have to do. I do have a curler thing that I got that creates waves, and I was actually going to do that today before the podcast, but realized in my spare bathroom, I had no way of like separating my hair to put some back so I could do this and then, you know, do the layers. Anyway, this is not a hair podcast, but today it has a bit of a hair podcast to it. So yeah, I think that's about it. I had some training with work last week that kicked my butt again, just making me feel my age. And I know I'm not old, but this year I'm 45. I'm actually over 45 and a half at this point. It's just, I'm feeling it, and I don't love that I feel it. And I realize there's a lot of things that I should do to hopefully make my coming years better. And one of those things is to make sure that I get back into working out and including weights. In fact, I cannot look it up because I'm recording on my phone, but there's a book that's an audiobook that my husband's actually read. Stay Strong, I want to say it's called. He's actually read the physical book, but I was able to get the audiobook through Libby. And I believe it's how to incorporate strength or continue strength into your older years. And I cannot believe that I'm here talking about that because in my head, you know, I'm still in my 20s. I think that's true for a lot of us. Anyway, if you have any tips for me, hair, aging, anything, knitting, I'm here for it. Let me know down below. I'm always happy to hear your thoughts on things, your comments, questions. Leave them right down below. I'm going to wrap this up. I will talk to you all the next time. Bye.